Hey guys, welcome back to Dexter Ranch. A while back I made a video talking about my Bextra Hay Saver hay feeder. And if you don't know, this is an over $600 hay feeder. And also, if you don't know, that's about $400 more than what you would expect to spend on a hay feeder when you go to your local farm store. Now, this hay feeder claims to be able to save you 30% more hay, meaning that 30% less hay will end up on the ground and wasted. So that was a very attractive idea to me, and I was very excited when I first got this, and I made a video talking about it. I'll link that video below. But in that video, I said that in 5 or 6 months after I had good time to use it, I would come back and make a follow-up video with my final thoughts. And that's what we're going to be doing today, so let's get into it. So the concept of this feeder is pretty straightforward. They've isolated the area that the cow is allowed to feed here. They've discouraged the cattle from eating up high by placing these bars, which a cattle's head cannot fit through. And then they've put a very large diameter at the bottom here, meant to catch any hay that doesn't end up in the cattle's mouth while pulling from the bale. The question is, does it work? And the answer is kind of, but I don't think that it works as well as they claim it does. As you can see, there's hay on the ground. That being said, this feeder has been in the same spot all winter long, and I haven't done any cleanup of the hay on the ground. And comparing to a conventional feeder, after 5 months of feeding hay in the same spot, you could be up to your knees in hay by this point, in my experience. The reason I say it doesn't work as well as they claim is because although there's less hay that makes it to the ground outside of the feeder itself is full of hay up to the top of the bottom enclosed ring. And my cattle will not eat that hay, and I'll show you why. As you can see, it's all very, very fine clippings that has become compacted, full of dirt, and at some level towards the bottom, I would imagine that there's even composting happening by now. So when I put a new bale in, I'm setting it on top of the hay that's coming all the way up to the top of the bottom ring. Now, if I wanted to force them to eat that hay or just wait them out, I'm pretty sure that they probably would eventually eat the hay in the bottom. But when I've got cattle up at the fence line yelling at me all day like they're out of food, then I generally just go get another bale. So this has been the situation I've ended up with this feeder, is the hay at the bottom never gets eaten. Now that causes a couple of problems. It, for one, makes it to where they're having to reach under that bar rather than feeding in their natural standing position. The second thing that it causes is it's causing the feeder to not be as effective as it could be in saving the hay, because the bale is up higher now, so a lot of hay ends up getting blown off of the top by the wind. I've seen that happen a few times, but it just doesn't work out. As you can see here, Heath is having to reach under in a really awkward position and bend his neck to get to the hay rather than just feeding like he should. So long story short, at the end of the season, or whenever I move this feeder again, I will end up having a mess on my hands and a bunch of wasted hay, as I would have with any other feeder. Another drawback I've found to the feeder is the large diameter that they had to put at the bottom in order to try to catch the falling hay. As you can see, it's a little over 8 feet in diameter. And this problem is specific to my Dexter cattle, so if you raise Dexter cattle, this one will apply to you. They're half size, and as you can see here, a normal 4-year-old Dexter cow is only 24 inches from the front of her legs to the front of her mouth. Now, she can probably stretch out to 36 inches or something like that, but basically what we end up with is this roughly 2-foot diameter pillar standing in the middle. Now, at some point, Heath or one of the bigger cows will stretch all the way in there and somehow find a way to knock that pillar over, and they'll go ahead and be able to get to that hay, but it constantly seems like it's a struggle for the cattle to feed from this feeder. So for Dexter cattle specifically, the dimensions and everything just really don't work out with this feeder. And the last negative that I'll point out, and I'm really trying not to harp on this thing too bad because I'm sure the guys over at Bextra spent a lot of time on the design, but for the horned cattle, it seems like it's even more of a challenge for them to get their horns around those bars and get to a place to where they can comfortably feed. So for the horned cattle, I'm going to say this feeder's a no-go. As far as positives go, I will say that this is a very well-built feeder. It's very heavy duty. You're not going to just pick it up and roll it around like you can some of these hay feeders. You're going to need a skid steer or a tractor to move this thing around, or several people. So it is very well built and very heavy duty. The paint is held up well over this first season of using it. So you are getting a quality built product for your money. But as far as the savings go, and the fact that my half-size cattle just don't fit the dimensions that well, I would say I'm probably not going to be buying another one of these. I'll probably keep it on the farm, but I don't think that I would recommend it to somebody that's raising small-framed cattle. So that's my review on the Bextra Hay Saver hay feeder. So there you have it, guys. Hopefully this video has been helpful to you. If it was, make sure you hit the like button. And if you haven't yet, consider subscribing to Dexter Ranch, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.